at the time, like, it might feel nice to be able to like speak with someone and open up and be vulnerable with them, but the red flag lies when you switch it around and you want to know about their fears, their insecurities, their past baggage, things that they've experienced, and you hear. Hey guys, my name's Maz Delasena. Welcome to my channel. In this channel, I like to talk about things like the law of attraction, personal development, and spirituality. In today's video, I want to talk to you about 7 not so obvious signs that you could be walking into a toxic relationship. Now, I'm going to talk about these signs from my own experiences because I myself have got into a lot of toxic relationships in the past, and mainly because for a long time throughout my journey, I really didn't understand or know self-love or my self-worth, and I had a lot of issues that I carried on from my childhood, my past, trauma I'd experienced and whatnot. And now I've finally come to a place where I'm able to understand all that and be self-aware and understand what got me into trouble and why I was walking into the wrong relationships and experiencing the heartbreak and the same cycle over and over again. So I want to be able to help you from my own mistakes so you don't make the same mistakes too. So the first sign that I want to talk about is my ex is crazy. Now, if you're seeing someone and they tell you how they have crazy exes, or they talk about how crazy their ex was, that is kind of a red flag. Now, I know you even may have crazy exes as well, but if they're telling you how crazy they were, you've got to also think it takes 2 to tango. What made their ex so crazy? I know for me, out of all my toxic relationships that I've been in, there seemed to be a reoccurring pattern. And the ones that were very toxic all had told me how crazy their ex was. And for me, I'm so naive at times, and I'm like, want to think the best of the person and think like we all have a past, like people grow, people change, people get better, because I've been the same, as in like on that journey of like growth and figuring out what my toxic traits were, figuring out what my trauma was and learning from that, and naively assume that everyone else is like that. But the reality of the situation is not everyone is about personal growth or self-growth or even having that self-awareness. So you got to have your wits about you. And what I have found from the people I've dated that have said their ex was crazy, 2 of them actually, one of them told me how she was threatening to kill herself and was so suicidal, and that she was just a nut house. And then I had another one that told me that she ended up in a mental hospital. At the time, with both those exes, I didn't think anything bad of them. I just thought, whoa, like you got yourself in a messed up situation, you dodged a bullet. But looking back, after I had experienced the relationships with them, both those relationships actually got me to a point where I kind of was suicidal and felt like I was so stuck and I couldn't get out, and I felt like I was going crazy. And it was only then did I realize, oh my God, now I realize why your ex felt the way they did or went batshit crazy. Makes sense now. Sign number 2. So when they get defensive or are secretive or won't talk about their past relationships. Now, I know it's not a good thing coming into a relationship and talking about the past. No one wants to hear all about the exes and whatnot. But if you are going to be in a committed relationship where you're growing and learning together, and being in that partnership, there is going to come a point where you can open up to each other and be able to learn about each other, so you can learn each other's experiences, your triggers, and have a better understanding of each other. Now, if the person that you're seeing now seems to get really defensive and closed up if you do ask about their past or any of their past experiences or past relationships, or they just blatantly won't talk about it, where you can feel some animosity, That is a big red flag. First of all, for someone to be defensive or not open up or not want to be able to talk about it shows that they have not come to terms with something and that they have not healed. Because why would it be such an issue, and why would it need to be blocked out if you haven't been able to use your past mistakes and turn them into lessons and learn and grow from that? I know if you are on this channel, you would be someone that is wanting to do some self-development and some personal growth and have some self-awareness from about you, that, or you wouldn't be watching this right now. But anyone that is looking to better themselves, they always look at their past mistakes or past experiences, come to terms with it, understand it, we can all have toxic traits too. No one is perfect. But if you have really moved on and healed from a situation, you're able to understand the situation for what it is, understand what triggered you, what triggered them, understand the situation and have a different perspective of that, so you can be able to take that into a lesson that you can now bring into future self, your better self. Now, if someone can't look or talk or even want to face the past, that is a big red flag. Another sign is if they tell you that they love you way too early in the piece. I actually look back at my relationships that I actually got serious with, and there seemed to be a recurring pattern. They told me they loved me way too soon. Now, especially when they don't really know you, how can you really love someone? You're still at that dating, getting to know each other, seeing what works, what doesn't, what ticks their buttons, what ticks yours, and still feeling your ways. If you hear I love you way too early, that it makes you kind of that's a red flag. You've got to think about where is that coming from? And how can someone that is genuinely looking for a healthy relationship, how can they genuinely love you before they even know you? I know that at the time it can feel nice to hear that, especially if you haven't been with someone for ages or you haven't felt that it feels nice to feel loved. But at the same time, you got to keep your wits about you and just think, how can someone tell you that they love you when they don't even know you? Wouldn't you rather someone tell you they love you once they've taken that time to get to know you, your messy side, your quirks, your flaws, the beautiful, amazing stuff about you, and then hear that they've fallen in love with you because the more they got to know you, the more they've just felt all those good warm fuzzies? And wouldn't that be better to hear than to hear I love you from someone that has no clue on who you are? Another sign to watch out for is when they want all of your attention all the time. Now, I know when you first meet someone, you get all those fuzzies and it feels good to I actually really like this person. We want to spend all of our time together. And yeah, it can get that way. But there comes a point when it's hang on, do you not have friends or interests or a life that doesn't revolve just around our relationship? You've got to think, there is that famous saying that says you can't pour from an empty cup, and you can't love someone until you can love yourself. So I found a pattern with all of my relationships where it was, they wanted my attention all the time, where at times it can get so suffocating, especially if you are someone that has friends and interests and hobbies and a life for yourself. It can get really, really suffocating. And if someone is wanting all of your attention all of the time, that can actually be really, really draining, because where does that leave you energy for you to chase your goals, to pursue your passions, to have fun with your hobbies and spend time with your family and friends? Like, you do need to have a life without your significant other, and then yeah, you do need to have a life together, but it is super important that both of you have lives outside of yourselves, so that way when you come together, there's things to talk about, there's things you can like bond and learn from, and it's way better quality time. And yeah, it's so important to be able to maintain your independence and them to maintain their independence. So if someone is always wanting all of your time and attention, that screams codependency. Another red flag to watch out for is love bombing. Now, again, I know when you first meet someone, like, it's so nice to like flirt with each other and give each other compliments, and it feels nice to hear all those nice things from someone. But if someone is like full-blown love bombing you, like they put you on a crazy pedestal before they even have got to know you or anything about you really, and they're like putting you on a pedestal, telling you how amazingly beautiful and gorgeous and handsome or whatever, and like to the point where it's like crazy, it's love bombing. It's just like boom, 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 where it's a bit full on. And I know at the time it can feel nice, you know, to hear that, and you should be able to be in a relationship where you give each other compliments, but there's a difference by genuine compliments and someone love bombing. Love bombing happens when someone is trying to prime you up. They love bomb you so that way when they've got you and they've like made you feel those warm and fuzzies, and they're like, yep, got you on the hook, that's when it all of a sudden starts to go backwards. And instead of love bombing, it's now small little criticisms, which start off little and so minor, but then slowly turns into something really toxic. And that is actually something I have noticed as a legitimate pattern in all of the toxic relationships that I've experienced. And the love bombing and that charm, the charisma and everything is something I've fallen for so many times. So just be careful. If someone is love bombing you and telling you all these great things, just think about, are these compliments coming from a place of a genuine place where they've actually got to know something about me or saw something to genuinely be able to say whatever they're saying? Or is it a bit too much that it makes you be like, Another red flag to watch out for is when someone wants to know all of your fears, your insecurities, and everything that's deep and like hidden about you that no one else knows. And at the time, like, it might feel nice to be able to like speak with someone and open up and be vulnerable with them, but the red flag lies when you switch it around and you want to know about their fears, their insecurities, their past baggage, things that they've experienced, and you hear crickets. That is a massive red flag. Why would someone want to know everything that's deep, dark, your fears, your insecurities, everything, and find out everything that makes you vulnerable and have you vulnerable to them, but then on the same other hand, they can't do the same for you, and they hardly tell you anything about them, and if you try to dig, you feel like you're like forcing something out of them. That is a massive red flag. A partnership takes two people. So for you to have a genuine relationship and a genuine connection where you can both grow, both should be able to share their fears and insecurities and talk to each other and learn about each other and understand why someone is the way they are, what they've experienced. And it gives you a better understanding of them, so that way moving forward in a relationship, you guys can understand each other's triggers, know what ticks the other person off, what motivates and inspires the other person. You can find out like the good, the bad and ugly and work together. But if it's one-sided and someone just wants to know all of your baggage and all your insecurities and all of your fears and all of your past, but won't say a thing when it comes to their own stuff, that is like a massive red flag. And usually I have found for myself in my own experience, the people I've dated that have been like that, it's actually like got turned around. Like at first, like I would, because like I'm not gonna lie, I'm someone that have experienced a lot of trauma, abuse. I've had like a pretty not so easy childhood and upbringing, and so it's not something that like you just randomly talk to every person you meet about. But when you are able to talk to someone, like I know that's got me in the past where it's like, oh wow, these are not things that I tell everyone, and it's so nice to be able to like open up and be vulnerable and tell you this stuff, and it feels like you really understand me, and that's got me a lot. But when tables are turned, I want to learn about them so I can understand them and their journey, and they're very defensive or closed up or secretive or won't tell you much or anything like that. I've found that's actually a real red flag, and most of the times, 9 out of 10 times, the stuff that like you previously told them that you were vulnerable with and open up to them ends up being used against you. So be careful on that. Relationship is a balance between two. It's a give and take. So if someone's being vulnerable, the other one should be able to be vulnerable. If someone's opening up, the other one should be able to open up. If someone's listening, the other one should also always be able to listen. It takes two to tango, and there needs to be a balance. But be very, very wary and be very careful if someone wants to know all of your stuff but won't share any of theirs. And the very last red flag is something that even my latest relationship, that sign was there, and I kind of saw it, but I didn't really learn my lesson or pay that much attention. I kind of brushed it off, but it's actually a really big one. And every single one of my toxic relationships I've ever experienced, I have seen this exact sign with all of them. So the sign is, and the red flag is, when things don't go their way and they're not in a good mood, it gets icy and cold. You know, when the mood shifts and it's like this negativity and it's really uncomfortable and it's like slicing, like I can't really explain it, but it's this heavy, heavy energy. And even if they're not saying much or doing anything, you just feel it. Like for me, I feel energy so much, and you know, sometimes you meet people and they walk into a room, they light up the room with their positive vibes and energy, and it makes you feel good. But you also know, have you noticed sometimes someone else can walk into the room and just bring that energy down? So I have actually noticed with all of the exes that have been toxic, I had actually seen this with all of them and never quite picked up on it. But when things don't go their way or they're not happy, that's normal when people get things that don't happen the way they want it to happen, or, you know, it's normal to feel upset or not get what you want or whatnot, or be like, we're humans. It is normal to feel those feelings. But if it gets to a point where the energy is like super icy, super deep, super dark, like you can feel it, like it's heavy, that is a sign to watch out for. Because moving forward, that might be how it is at the beginning, but moving forward, that shows deep, deep anger issues, and you will see that come out later down the track. And that iciness and that feeling of heaviness is very deep and dark, and it shows a lot of unresolved issues, and it also highlights that this person cannot deal with their emotions. If it gets that deep and dark in the beginning, that is a massive, massive red flag, and honestly probably the biggest red flag out of them all. And I'm saying that because every single relationship that's been toxic has had this one trait. Exactly, all of them. And something that I had dismissed, but no more, and I won't do that again. And I want to share this with you so you don't do that too. I hope this video helped you guys today. I really appreciate you watching, and like honestly, I'm sharing this with you because it's something that I want to be able to give back. Please learn from my mistakes, and if you've experienced it too, don't be so hard on yourself. It's something that, like, yeah, we find ourselves in these patterns and stuff because there's stuff with ourselves that we haven't like quite gone, like learnt from or healed from. There's past trauma and just learning to know our worth. So I share these signs and red flags with you so that way you too can spot it before you end up in a toxic relationship, because yeah, toxic relationships are not fun and I don't want you to experience it either. And I really do hope this helped. If you do enjoy this video, I would really appreciate a big thumbs up so I know this is the kind of content that you do like. And if you haven't already, I would really love for you to hit the big red button down below and hit subscribe. This is a new channel, so every little subscriber counts, and it shows me that, yeah, I'm doing the right thing by helping you guys out as well, by sharing my own lessons and heartbreak and wisdom and truths. Yeah, it just really helps my little channel. So I really do appreciate it. Thanks again for stopping by. Until next time.